All right, y'all. Welcome back into the Bearded Bros Golf Show. It's another Sunday at 10 o'clock. I am Rod, and this is.
Marcus.
All right, topics for the week. We're going to hit it hard. Valspar, quick wrap up of that. Going to talk about the USGA ball rollback. Big news this week. Got everybody up in an uproar, and I think the only fan of it right now is USGA and Jack Nicklaus. That's about it.
Yeah.
We're gonna we're gonna touch on the live event this weekend as well, and the Stealth 2, and pros seemingly having problems getting adjusted to the new club. So those are the topics for the week. Let's get it. So Valspar, another first-time winner. We have Taylor Moore winning his first tour event. He's been out on tour since 2016. Uh, Kudos to him on a tough golf course, which I think will actually part of my argument for the ball rollback, and this golf course is a huge part of that. Adam Schenk and Jordan Spieth in the mix this week, both battling it down to the end. Schenk hitting it against a tree on number 18, and Jordan didn't seem to have full control of his game. Speaks very well to how he can navigate through a course. He does like this course a lot. Tell me what your thoughts are on the results from this week.
Yeah. Taylor Moore just in the right place at the right time. Posted a number early and let people come chase him and try to post and get into a playoff or beat him. And I mean, Adam Schenk waited to the last hole to fold, but then tried to make a resilient effort to get into a playoff. Jordan Spieth, he just needed to make a few more putts. He gave himself a few opportunities down the back nine, but just didn't seem like he had that usual or just that clutch putt ability that we're used to seeing from Spieth. So, it's so crazy when you get into things like that because it's like you expect people to make certain moves. Like you can even kind of put Justin Thomas in that category, or you can put kind of like a John Rahm. You just expect those players to kind of make the putt necessary to, be clutch. But yeah, kudos to Taylor Moore, and hopefully he can keep that run going and you know set up his season. I
I mean, I don't know the guy. I mean, I hadn't really been aware of his game until today,
right.
so it's just one of those where again you don't hate on the man because clearly he's got talent and skills. But do I anticipate seeing him at the top of leaderboards going forward? No. You don't know how people are going to respond going forward. As if this is going to be a springboard into the rest of their career, or if
Right.
this is just going to be a flash in the pan and a one time win and 2 year exemption and entry into major tournaments for the next couple of years. Who knows? But again, kudos to that man. I do want to talk about this not being a not first non-designated event that it feels like we've seen in a few weeks. Had some
Right.
pretty decent names show up. Justin Thomas was there. Jordan Spieth, as we've already mentioned. Matt Fitzpatrick, which I think he failed to make the cut. Garry Woodland, Justin Rose. I feel like I'm missing one other one. Keegan Bradley was there, and Tommy Fleetwood. Fairway
Yeah.
Jesus was there as well, and he kind of hung in the top of the leaderboard. I was hoping to see him pull out a victory as well. It feels like he's been on a drought and has. I don't think he's won over here in the states. So want to see Tommy get a W over here. So even without it being a designated event, I think the course brought people out, and the names that you there were people that you knew their name that played
Yep.
this week, and so it wasn't just a bunch of no names. And I think they had five of the top 50 in the world, so pretty good showing. And so yeah, I think the course looked very challenging.
Right.
I've always loved the Valspar. It looks different because of the coverage this week and just kind of the different looks that they're trying to give us on the TV coverage. So you got to see a little bit more of the course and not just the snake pit this week. So very challenging. What do you think of the course layout?
I definitely think that the course is plays tough. I mean, any event that's not a par 72, you already know that you're gonna have a few more long par fours. You're gonna have some, you're gonna have to be able to get in the fairway because it's penalizing, as you saw with the rough. And just to kind of touch on, the field, like it's just good to finally have like an event where there's no major event hangover, and the people that played and the players still made it the next week to play in a off, like a off major. And so like I think that was very refreshing to see. And then the cream of the crop pretty much rose to the top. Tommy Fleetwood was on the leaderboard the whole time. Justin Thomas was on the leaderboard 3 out of the 4 rounds until he kind of just photoed out in the third round and stuff. So yeah, I definitely think it was refreshing, and I enjoy the Valspar. And you saw number 16, number 17, the snake pit that they referred to. It came back and bit some people, and it really bit Jordan Spieth. He went in the water on 16 and had to make a crazy
Yeah.
bogey just to have a fighting chance. So yeah, I definitely think it was a risk reward, and that it really showed its grit. I like that course.
Yep. Another part that I think, again, the toughness of the course setup and lended to, you know, we're talking about this ball rollout. I want to transition into that.
Yeah.
And a part of my argument for why I think the ball rollback from USGA is silly is that the course setup can defend against some of these things that we're dealing with, or their concerns about the ball
Right.
going too far and equipment gains. Things evolve, things change, and I would, to me, going back doesn't make sense in anything. Once you've
Agreed.
reached a certain point, let's keep it moving forward. We're going to keep talking about this. Let me get this USGA, kind of their objectives with this, up on the screen so everybody can know what we're referring to. So their proposed, this is their distance update. They've been working on this for a couple of years. Proposed local rule to require use of golf balls tested under modified launch conditions reflective of the longest hitters. The measurement they're using is a club head speed of 127. I don't think there's anybody currently swinging that. I forget the name, but there's one player that's like 126
Yeah.
with driver one. And so, again, physically, will we be able to get there one day? I'm sure. With workout programs and all the different things that are available to players, this is a new game. I agree that somebody will get there one day consistently, but we're not there. And
Right.
this honestly probably wouldn't take place until 2026. But again, we'll table that for now. This is intended only for elite competitions, the pros, and they're only talking about the men's game, not the women's pros, just men professional golfers, and no effect on the recreational game, as they said. So, kind of rewinding back to the Valspar, I think this course defended itself very well against long hitters. Again, you have people like Justin Thomas. Jordan Spieth has gotten longer this year. So he's at the top of his club head speed. I think they posted he's at 216 this year. Garry Woodlands. But you put some curves in the fairways. You put some overhanging trees where you have to play for position. You put some thick rough around, the
Got
fairways
to be
up by the
accurate. Exactly.
greens where you have to place shots.
Yeah.
I think that's the fix at the end of the day. And I'll have one example, and then I'll let you kind of give your thoughts on this. You know, back when horses and buggies existed, it made sense to have dirt roads. That
Yeah.
was appropriate for the conditions. But when cars came out, we started putting cement roads down because they rode better on that. So we had an advancement, and then you adjusted to that advancement. So these old school courses that maybe just have super straight fairways, maybe they need to adjust, or maybe we lose some venues that aren't able to keep up with today's times. You don't change the technology. You don't go back to horses and buggies. But that's just my
Yeah.
thought. Tell me what you think.
So I mean, you can go about this at two different aspects. You don't even necessarily need to change course setup or anything like that, because at the end of the day, people are still going to want to be in the fairway. They're still going to want to hit accurate shots. So if you're long and you don't need to hit driver, that's fine. But you better be able to dot your I's and cross your T's on that 3 iron or that two hybrid or whatever that you're going to take off the tee. Because regardless of not, if you can't control the golf ball as it is, it doesn't matter if we're rolling it back for distances. And then as far as course conditions go, that's stupid to me too, because these courses, just like you said, can set up against that. Like, there's no reason for us to roll back the golf ball, and then like, and so like a couple of the pros have like they're trying to gravitate towards wanting the amateur player to be involved, and I agree. But even past that, everybody that grinds for something or looks for extra improvement is going to go to the gym. So you're telling me these guys that work so hard to finally be able to hit the ball further are doing this all for naught? You're looking at a guy like Matt Fitzpatrick. Matt Fitzpatrick is so anal about his numbers. He finally got in the gym. He hits the ball faster. He hits every club faster now. You're gonna take that all
Mhm.
away? Like, for what? It just
Right.
doesn't,
Right.
like, again, it doesn't make sense to me. And then lastly, before I get to rambling and ranting, um, there's nothing wrong with fans coming to see these players go as low as physically possible. Who doesn't want to see these guys shoot? When's the last time we saw 59 or anything like that? We want to see these numbers. So
Yeah.
so leave the ball alone. Let these guys see as physically low as they can go, and then you adjust. These guys aren't shooting 30 under all in a 4 week event in a 4 weekend event. Nobody's shooting these
No.
numbers. So again, what is the purpose?
Right. 10 under one this week. 10 under one,
Right.
and on a tough golf course. So, I agree with everything you said, and I think even from an accuracy standpoint, so Matt Fitzpatrick is a perfect example of somebody who was a technician and was able to navigate around golf courses and be highly successful without the distance initially. And you
Exactly.
saw when he added it last year what it did for his game. Does he
Major
look drastically different physically? No. He still looks like Fat Fitzpatrick from a few years ago. A little bit soft in terms. He doesn't look like some super specimen, but
right.
he's able to still navigate around the course with skill, but added some distance off the tee. And so I think that's amazing. And you look at somebody like Bryson DeChambeau, who's no longer on the tour and struggling over on Live to even get in the top 10 of that tour with 48 players. We
Right.
saw when he added all that speed, he was not able to keep the driver in play a lot of times. And
Exactly.
that was his struggle with Cobra, designing a club where he could swing it as fast as he physically could and still hit it straight. And it just wasn't possible. The physics of where the restrictions are on equipment and what you can deliver from a speed perspective just don't match up. And they're never
Right.
going to be able to match up at these incredible speeds. And so there's already the defenses built in. And so the bald argument is just silly to me. Let me put this Tiger Woods quote up, and just kind of goes back to 2017, where he said, I don't know what the forum was for him delivering this quote, but my idea was to have it so that every professional would have to play a reduced flight ball. Even if you played a pro member, you would have a reduced flight ball. Whereas the amateur, go ahead and make it fun, juice the golf balls up, juice the clubs up, and let them go have a great time. Quick thought on this from me. I'm not going to put a lot of thought or stock into this comment from a few years ago, but simply saying, coming from Tiger Woods, who is a man who is a man amongst boys in golf. He felt his confidence level in his game that it didn't matter what the type of ball was that was available. He was going to go out there and dominate no matter what. I don't think you see this from rank and file players or even other top level players. They want to be able to combine equipment gains, the best technology with the ball, and go out there and test their skills against the other best players. Has
Right.
nothing to do with reducing the the equipment. They're all playing under the same equipment rules and restrictions. So if you can do something that fits your game better, why not do that? I just didn't understand this quote at all.
Right. And then like you use terms like juice the golf ball up, juice the clubs up. Bruh, there's already enough help. There's already enough spin and compression and stuff like that. When you use like, words mean things. When you say juice and things like that, that doesn't have the right connotation. I don't want to feel like I'm playing a cheating golf ball. Like, that's why you don't see a lot of top flights or, Bomb Text or whatever, whatever the brand may be. Like that's why those balls, because that's not true distance. That's low
Right.
spinning, hard rocks. You swinging out of your shoes just to see how far you can physically hit it. Not necessarily accurately, not necessarily for score. It just to me it just has a bad connotation. And then again, Tiger Woods, you're by yourself, buddy. You're top 3 iron player of all time in any history of golf. Like we're not talking about you. We're talking about the people that play a different game than you, brother. So keep that to yourself, sir. Jeez.
Yeah, and again, I think that those hard distance balls don't lend to speed, right? And so you look at a ball like the Pro V1, it has the distance, but when you're going in with irons, wedges, you can stop the ball.
Right.
I would venture to say that a top flight isn't going to be able to stop on the green quickly. You can only hit the ball so high, and most AMs don't have a high trajectory on their irons, no matter how helpful these new clubs are to them. They're not able to get a lot of height on the ball, and then you combine that with a super low spinning ball. It's not a combo to win. And so again, these pros are combining their skills with the ball that does go far, as well as spins appropriately on greens to get the ball to stop. And at the end of the day, you still have to putt it and make putts. So heck, even if that's the case, redesign greens, add more texture, contour, whatever the case may be. And one thing I even failed to mention earlier, in the fairways, mow backwards. That's what the Masters has done for years. They mow back towards the players in the fairway. That reduces the roll. Right now, you probably see tour pros, and we'll see it next week at the match play. Hit the ball and get somewhere between 30 and you even get crazy extremes like 100 yards a roll after the ball hits the ground.
Yeah.
Ratchet back the fairways, give them less roll. There are so many mechanisms outside of touching the ball, but USGA has never shied away from being controversial and doing stuff that 95% of golfers agree with, or disagree with. They're just not afraid to fuck up and piss people off for no reason. Like just you terrible. Cannot provide logistical reasons why this makes sense. Amateurs want to see pros play well. They don't want to see the game separate. We talked about this videos ago. I remember wanting to play golf and play the clubs that pros play. And feeling like I wanted to get my game, to raise my game to get there, not have it be a completely different game. So one quick quote from JT. On our end, it's not going to play the sound, but the crowd will hear this. So when it concludes, I'll start
data,
talking.
I mean, was it using 127 mile an hour club head speed? Like, if you can swing 127 miles an hour, like, power to you. I mean, people are running faster. So what are they just going to make the length of a mile longer? So
Oh, Lord, got some stuttering. I don't know if it's still playing on the live stream, but when I clip this later on in the week, I will replay it separately so we get the full. But basically, he's just saying that, again, players are evolving. Workouts, diets, training has all changed. They aren't out there smoking, a pack of Newports and, drinking beer on the course. These guys are athletes.
And these guys do not have guts.
Exactly. The days of John Daly's, honestly, are gone. Even when you look at a guy like Harry Higgs, his longevity in this game is questionable. He's fighting to keep his card at this point. I think he's got mixed status or something to that effect at this point. So, again, being healthy, working out, being at the peak physical condition is where this game is going. It is not an equipment-related issue, and you can't moderate evolution. So, all right, we've hit that crazy. Over on the Live Tour, we had them playing in Tucson, Arizona this week. It was interesting on their Twitter account. They love to show crowds reminiscent of some other crazy shit. But Love to show crowds earlier on in the week. However, I was watching the final round today, which ended up going into a 3-hole playoff, and the crowds really weren't there. At the end, you could tell that they were narrowing in on the green, and you could hear some buzz from the grandstands. But in terms of like crowds just being pouring in from behind the players, I think they had a game, their first playoff event last year with DJ winning. There were a bunch of crowds, and maybe that was because there was star power. But this playoff had Danny Lee, who was the eventual winner, putting it in off the green for a birdie. Louis Oosthuizen, Brendan Steele, and Carlos Ortiz was eliminated in the first round of the playoff. But I still, I have people that love to come on my comments when I talk about Live that say it's not for you, it's for another, other type of golf fans. But my point that I kind of go back to is they're trying to capture a niche within a niche. Look, if I want to go party, drink, and be crazy and just listen to music, I'll go do that on my own with my buddies if that's the kind of golf that I want. On a professional level, I want to see professional golf. And so I think they're trying to capture this small niche within the niche of golf, which we love golf, but the universal public, if you look at it as kind of viewership, golf is near the end of the totem pole. Behind football, behind basketball, even behind baseball, hockey, I would even say competes kind of with hockey. Soccer, worldwide game, right? Yeah. So, again, I don't want to stick with talking about Live too much here, but again, you just kind of notice some of the things that they're doing and tactics, and Greg Norman got on there and was awkward with Troy Mullins in a final round interview. He kind of almost criticized one of the players. It was very awkward. So, any comments or thoughts on Live before I move on?
They are reaching and grasping for air, buddy. I'm sorry.
I know. Okay, I won't put you on the spot. I know. I won't put you on the spot. I know you hate Liv. I did text you earlier in the week about attending the Tulsa event here. I think it's in April that I was going to make arrangements to go up there and give it a fair shot and try to be an objective viewer of their product and view it in person. It's about a 4-hour drive from me. I'm in Tulsa for work all the time. So I said I was going to attend that event. So more to come on that, so I can blast it with my own experience if it comes to that. Or I'm not opposed to having my mind changed if it is, competitive with the PGA Tour event. I've been to several PGA Tour events and I have a great time. I love how they lay it out. That they know what they're doing. But it'll be interesting. Have they figured it out year 2? How to present the event live to people that are on the grounds? Is it overrated in terms of their not crowd size, or just like literally their crowd sizes? Are they what they purport them to be, or is it a bunch of smoke and mirrors? We'll see. I'm under no, loyalty to the PGA or Live. I just want it to be a legit product.
You want good golf products, exactly, and that's respectable, and that's what I was telling you. Like, and you already know that, but like, the thing about it is if they were putting out a respectable product, it'd be a different perspective from us. It wouldn't be that it's a joke or like it's a fluke tour. But like when you come out of the gate, and then just like now, like we talked about the promotion itself was goofy, and it comes out after the event has already kicked off. Like, please have your ducks in a row. Like, if you're gonna be corporate, if you're gonna try to be official, be officially official. That's not that. So again, I would like to also give him a objective opinion about it, but from what we're seeing right now, it's not giving us an opportunity to do that.
No. People that have been convinced. Go ahead. Yeah, and people that have been convinced, you're not going to convince them otherwise. I've realized like you're kind of spitting into the wind by doing that, because honestly, from my perspective, as somebody who's has no connection one way or another, I can look at it objectively and take it from my 9 to 5 work that from a marketing perspective, it's a lot of propaganda that they're throwing out. And I get it. The point of propaganda is to get people convinced, get them to talk about your talking points and repeat what you're trying to convince them of. And I get it. Like some people have been sold on it and are full blown live, and that's cool. Or they just want an alternative. But I do criticize the PGA Tour for not moving on this crap before, because it opened the door for a live to exist and for them to be criticized, and to be criticized for being reactive versus being proactive and doing something about their events and structure prior to this time. They screwed that up, and even when I look at their two leaders, Greg Norman and God, his name is slipping my head, the PGA Tour Commissioner, Jay Monahan.
Yeah.
They're both these kind of awkward, Monahan super corporate, very rarely comes out. When he did an interview the week of the Players, I just did not like the presentation that he gave. He's awkward in front of the camera. And it's just, I don't think the leadership in either faction is great. So you kind of get what you get on either side of it. So
Right.
It is what it is. You got any final thoughts on the live crap?
Hey, let's go ahead and move it on, Rod.
Let's move it on. All right. So recently, noticed that we have some players, some pros that have been playing the Stealth 2. Some Taylormade staff members taking it out of the bag. I think the most prominent was Colin McIlroy going back to the Sim 2 during the Players and actually performing pretty well during that week. And Rory McIlroy talking about he's still not used to the driver and looking for answers there. I will say, just as a counter, it looks like Scotty Scheffler is still playing the Stealth 2, and he ended up winning the Players and is performing pretty damn well this year. And even though I don't think Justin Rose is a TaylorMade staffer, he went back all the way to the TaylorMade M2 driver. So that was an interesting move with people moving away from the Stealth 2. I think, again, it kind of talks about the technology. It's not perfect. So I think people are having a hard time getting dialed into this driver. Last year's original Stealth, rave reviews. I would say on the kind of the forums, the amateur side of it, there were a lot of broken heads or cracked faces and whatnot. But that driver seemed to perform. What are your thoughts on pros taking the Stealth 2 out of the bag, or kind of having some negative opinions or questionable opinions about the Stealth 2?
Yeah, that's a good topic because, just as you mentioned, we've been to PGA Tour events before. And even back in the days, like when I went to the Shell Houston Open with our uncle, I'm talking like 2013, 2014, those days. You could tell back then that these guys were using clubs that they were just super familiar with. If the specs aren't adding up and the numbers aren't producing what they feel like they should be filling, all they're going to do is throw the new head cover on an old club. So one of the guys I saw was a Callaway guy. The Callaway, he was still using the XR driver.
Okay.
And so things like that happens a lot. So I don't really think it's a big deal because once you drop the commercial and you sold it to the popular crowd and things like that, it doesn't really matter what you're playing because you already promoted it for the company and they just want the name out there. So for me, it's not that big a deal because me, I'm still playing a Sim Max myself. So I'm not really looking too far in it. And I think once Rory gets it dialed in, he'll probably just throw another shaft in there or something, or get the weighting fixed. They use souped up clubs anyway. So I think they'll find their niche and it'll be okay. So I don't want to read too much into it because just like what you said, the equipment is just as iffy as golf is. So just as soon as you find it, you can lose it. Just as soon as you lose it, you can find it. So I don't want to dig too deep into it unless it's really like this is the end of TaylorMade drivers,
No, I don't think so. And TaylorMade is super prolific with their marketing. So I agree. The products are pretty much sold. Anytime TaylorMade comes out with the driver, no longer are they promising 15 to 20 yards with every new club. They've kind of abandoned that. I'm sure that was legally kind of questionable to promise those
Right.
kind of gains. But yeah, I agree. I think it's probably much to do about nothing. Sometimes, with golf, it comes down to what you're comfortable with, and sometimes we
Exactly.
can make changes, and you don't necessarily need to make changes. For me personally, this week I threw a new 3-wood in my bag. I had been playing the Nike Vapor Max, which came out in 2013
Yeah.
since that point, and it's still kept up and looked great. But I made a change, and maybe that was because I was playing the Ping 425 3 hybrid, and I enjoyed that club. I just felt like, okay, I'm going to make a change, right? And I played with it this past weekend. It performed pretty decently. I haven't been able to get numbers on it yet. That's the one thing that over time I will determine if it's still going to stay in the bag or not. But sometimes golfers make changes just to make changes. It feels
Yep.
great to have a new club in the bag, but it may not always be the best choice for us at the time. It may not the new thing may not perform, or our comfort level with the new thing takes a while to get used to. And so that's kind of the quandary of being a golfer, is that we love to tinker and mess with stuff.
Agreed. Agreed.
So anyway, so let's get into this last topic. And that was a topic that we kind of touched on a while back, and it's about golf course, kind of best states to go on a golf trip to. I saw this
Yeah.
questionable list on Reddit a while back, and they said they took the golfiness out of this rating. I don't want to quote the website where it came from, but we're going to put the results up. We'll just cover first 1 through 3, and then kind of the way the slides work, we'll just kind of go through it. So, as you can see, the cost rank, course rank, and weather rank, overall, they have Kansas as the number one state for a golf, I guess, adventure or trip. I have spent a lot of time for work in northern Oklahoma. I said one day I was going to drive up to kind of southern Kansas, and to be honest, it's pretty damn bad. It's pretty boring. It's flat. It's a lot of farmland, and there's not much to Kansas. Admittedly, I've only seen a little bit of the state, but I've never, ever heard anybody else say Kansas was at the top of their golfing list. How about you?
Why are we going to Kansas? Why is Kansas a thing? If we're not talking like I just want to know what else is there to do in Kansas. What is there to do in Kansas?
Go to Kansas. What is it? Where do the Jayhawks play? Was that Lawrence,
Right.
Kansas? That's about it.
I just that or Kansas State. I just don't know, Rod.
I don't know. It's not a lot happening in Kansas. Even I work with a young lady from Kansas, and she definitely appreciates Dallas. Let's just say
Right.
that she does not go back to Kansas very often outside of family trips. I agree. I mean, when you go on a golf trip, a golf experience, you want to be able to, yes, golf is the main objective. If you're a golfer, golf is the main objective, but you also want to be able to go to a nice restaurant, enjoy yourself out on the town, go have fun, not just go chill in your hotel room and watch TV. I don't know. You want something to do outside of that. So we both wholeheartedly disagree that Kansas should not be number one on weather, maybe the courses, but even then they're 19, and the cost. Cost to me, like when it comes to golf, I'll pay whatever it takes. Cost does
100%.
not really cost does not come into my thought process when I think about a course. So if somebody told me today I had a chance to go play Pebble Beach, we know the rounds there are about $600 a pop. I'm gonna go pay the $600. I'm gonna go figure it out. If I'm down bad and I got that invite, guess what?
be
I'm gonna
it.
figure it out. I'm gonna go Uber or do something if I was
Right.
in the worst position of my life, golf is something that I will pony up the money for. So that whole part about cost being, yeah, you missed
Absolutely.
me with that one. You missed
Exactly.
me. Let's kind of cover the next two and then go down this list even further. Minnesota, I can kind of get with that. The
Yeah.
weather being 20, yeah, I understand that. Yeah, it's cold there, probably what, 6 months out of the year, 5 to 6 months out of the year, where there's possibly snow on the ground. That would
Right.
be a prohibitive factor for me. But in the summer, I've had a thought about going up to that kind of mid north, kind of trending north, but Midwest part of the country. Michigan, I've
Yeah.
heard has amazing golf. Wisconsin, which I think they're lower on the list as well. But I can see that Minnesota cost again didn't really come into play. But if the golf is good and it's cheap, that's pretty awesome. And
Right.
course rank. I mean, they're kind of mid on the course rank. I think this one probably got to number two strictly because of the cost. But
Yeah.
Minnesota, what do you think? I mean,
Minnesota's definitely feasible. And again, you got to think about what else is there. Like, not saying I'm just the biggest outdoorsman, but like we got the Great Lakes. It's probably a woodland, tree lined state. You know, that's stuff that I can look at and be like, cool. Like, yeah, let's like
yeah,
get involved in that. Like, let's go out on the lake. And then, of course, they don't have bad sports. Can always go to a Twins game, always go to like a Vikings or whatever it may be, early September, October before it gets too cold or whatnot.
yeah.
Timberwolves, March, April, like there's things
They
to
got
do other
stuff.
than golf. Exactly.
Right. And if they're a sports town like that, they have to have nice restaurants and decent,
Exactly. It all
nightlife
goes
for
hand in
city life.
hand.
I can get with that. Minnesota's not a bad pick. Florida, I agree with being highly ranked on the list. Cost, I wholly agree with. Golf in Florida can be super expensive for no reason.
Right.
It's it's weird because like when we went to Myrtle Beach was our first official golf trip, and honestly for a good course it didn't feel like at that time we had to pay a lot for quality of courses. And I
Right.
would say that there's probably the same density of courses in Florida that there are in Myrtle Beach. You can just pretty much throw a rock in either direction in either of those states. I mean, Myrtle Beach is a city, but South Carolina in general, and then Florida, there's golf everywhere in Florida. So the cost thing, I don't know why it's so high there, but it is. From my experience playing out there in Orlando and Tampa, you're just like, why am I paying $80 for this course?
Yeah.
For something kind of mid. But, again, course ranks, quality. You're going to get a number of different terrain, as we've seen on the Florida swing, even on the PGA Tour, from stuff that everybody's seen. Players looks very different from where they played the Valspar. The Bay Hill course is a little bit flatter, but it still has some terrain, and so,
Yeah.
and then there's ones that are like super flat. So Florida gives you a little bit of everything. Outside of mountains, you're going to see a lot of different courses, course types in Florida, whether you're central or on either coast. The terrain can be very different.
Agreed. Agreed.
Yep, and then of course the weather is generally pretty damn good. Let me
Yeah.
scroll through.
I feel like the weather should be a little bit like higher up in the rank, but I guess them being directly on the coast of the Gulf and the Atlantic, you probably get a little bit more rain showers than you would actually like or expect. Keep it a little bit more soaked or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's just like what happened when we were going to Myrtle Beach. Like you attach Arnold Palmer, you attach Jack Nicklaus or whoever the top dogs, Ben Crenshaw or whatever. You put that name on it, course designed by such and such. Oh, it's gonna tax itself. 100%.
Yeah.
Because remember, we played that one course that was a Jack Nicklaus course, and boy, I don't want to see that course ever again in my life. It was the worst $56 I ever spent with that $5 black bear. You know what I'm talking
Oh, it
about?
was so bad. It was so bad. The course conditions out there were so bad.
So
And
bad.
I don't want to discourage. That was. I think that was what was it still South Carolina, or did we cross into North Carolina for that course?
That was like North Myrtle Beach or something like that.
It was
It was
horrible.
bad
I
though.
don't
It was
know. It was so bad. So yeah. I
bad.
remember that vividly. My slide is not working, but I'm gonna kind of go through the next three because there's one I wholeheartedly disagree with on the last part of it. So number 4 is California. I agree with that. California golf is really good. Cost rank, they have it ranked as 41st. Um,
Out of
I don't
50.
know. I mean, I've played, yeah, out of 50. It wasn't that expensive to me. And I didn't play directly in the city, but I get it. Cost of living in
Yeah.
California is high. The course I chose, I think you can shop for whatever you want. The course I played was actually pretty decent. It was a little bit outside of Los Angeles in the mountains, and it didn't seem like a crazy cost to me.
Mhm.
Course rank, they're not California's number 1, which I agree with. Like their
Yeah.
courses, the layouts, you're gonna get the terrain. Again, number of different climates, and you
Yeah.
can play mountain golf, parkland. You saw the mix again on the PGA Tour. Weather rank number 6. I agree with that. 5th is North Carolina. Yeah, there's a lot of good courses in North Carolina. Isn't that where? God,
All the
I'm
Pinehurst,
Pinehurst. That's what it is. All those
Tobacco
courses that are on
Road.
that
Yeah.
property. Yeah, so I get that. They're mid range in terms of cost at 18. Weather's 19, and then number 6. Here's the one I disagree with. And again, this particular ranking system favored cost highly. Iowa, number 6. Or, yeah, number 6 down. Cost rank is number 6. Course rank is 3. Weather rank is 24. Because they have long winters too in Iowa. So, again, overrated on the cost structure. I'm not a fan of that being the. It seems like they put a lot of weight on cost. And then course rank, I have no idea. All I do know is that there are no PGA Tour stops there. I don't even know if
Right.
there's even a Corn Ferry event in Iowa. So I think they go where good courses and quality courses are located. Yeah, I don't agree with that.
Oh, like you look at. I'm just trying to even recall Golf Digest list, top 100 public courses, top 100 exclusive courses. I'm not seeing Iowa on there.
Iowa does not come up in any of that.
Show
So
me the facts somewhere, please.
that's
Somebody,
that's
somebody.
that's a
If
miss for
anybody
me.
that's watching us, please, if you can
Yeah,
comment like where we need to like Google or search Iowa golf to find this, let us
yeah.
know. I'll be there in a heartbeat. I promise. I
If
promise.
it's good, yeah, convince
It's good.
me, convince us. Yeah. So let's round out the list. I won't even go through the individual rankings on it, but number 7, Arizona. 8 is Wisconsin. 9, Idaho, and number 10 is Michigan. I'm gonna go ahead and throw out Idaho.
Yeah,
Arizona, we've been there.
should
Quality
be
golf.
higher.
Yep, I agree. They're probably hurt by cost. Again, I think this
Right.
scale is highly hurt by cost, especially in the wintertime. Arizona, which is their prime season is kind of November through February.
February.
Yeah, all the snowbirds come down. I mean, when we played in late November, early December, it was 80 degrees every day. And so I get
Right.
it, but courses can get high. Wisconsin, great things. Colder Wisconsin, a lot of golf out there. Idaho, I have no idea how they're on this list. Even their rankings are not that great. Cost is 14. Course rank is 28. Weather is 9. That's a miss. God dang, I'd put Texas on there. I don't know. Maybe it's too hot in Texas. Maybe I don't know. But and then Michigan rounds it out, which we've heard good things about Michigan golf. Looks beautiful. I'm interested in seeing what playing on different grasses are like in the northern part of the U.S. versus Bermuda, which is what we get a lot of down here. So anyway, if you're watching when I clip this, tell us where is the best golf trip that you've ever been on. We're very interested to hear. Always looking for good spots. to go get some golf in outside of our own home state of Texas. So that's the topics for the day. You got anything else that you want to hit on from the world of golf this week?
Well, first let's just conclude the list and then let's go into some March Madness stuff. Idaho.
That's the list.
I just don't.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Like I feel like Utah. I feel like Utah should be in there. Like the things I've heard about Utah, I'd understand. Like even a state like a Oregon, I'll put up with the rain because I love like woodland like courses. That's very temporal up there in Pacific North. Or would you say Washington has better weather? Which one would you prefer? Because you've been up there, kind of like in the area. I know you've been to Washington, but did you?
Yeah, we went down. We went down to Oregon. Yeah, we went down to Oregon as well. I would say we went in June, and they were in a drought, and it was warm there. I mean, it was kind of mid 80s, and that was in June. So, I wouldn't mind going, a month earlier when it was a little bit cooler. But I mean, I don't know. Oregon and Washington have similar, temperatures. I think Oregon's a little bit cooler, just because it's a little more woody. Even though Washington is pretty dense in woodlands itself, but I hated that I didn't bring my clubs on that trip. But it was a family trip, so I didn't travel with my clubs and get around in that week. But I would have probably preferred to play in Washington.
Okay, and then lastly, all I gotta say is they weren't there in the gym when it was Tom Pender's 40 U of H students and then 12 bums in Aubrey Colbin. They weren't there, Rod. They weren't there. They don't deserve this Sweet 16 like us real Cougs fans. Go Cougs.
Man, go Cougs. We're trying to get to the Final Four in the city. I was just showing my wife, Crystal, a picture of old Hoffman's Pavilion before the renovation to what it is today. Right. I'm like, you don't remember sitting in that dark, dank, asbestos-filled building with the seats torn up. Like you said.
You a student? Go ahead. No, you good. Just come on in. Yeah. No, you good. You good. You a student? Yeah, come on in. Yeah. Don't even worry about it.
Oh, it was anybody could get a ticket back in the day. So shout out to all the true Cougs fans that have been at it since we were getting JUCO. We had rosters filled with JUCO players. Couldn't get a freshman class worth of damn. We were getting everybody's
from the city. Nobody from Houston wanted to come here. Everybody was leaving. We got one of our highest recruits was some guy from Brooklyn one year. I'm like, cool, yeah, East Coast, he can hoop. Could not hoop. Yeah. Oh, could not hoop.
No, just thought because he was from New York, he said he played on the playground somewhere. And come on in, bud. So go Cougs for all the true Cougs fans out there. We're about to make it to this Final Four, looking like we're catching the stride. So good call out there. All right, y'all. Back at it again next Sunday, 10 o'clock. You know the time. You know the place. You know the beards. Come check us out. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
Crap, bro.